The Monte and the Pharaoh Show is brought to you by...
Because wine is your second favorite four-letter word. California wine, New York attitude. Good fucking wine.
Yeah.
Yes. So, ladies, how do you guys get into professional wrestling? What makes you want to be like? Again, we're going to talk about your career in basketball and your athletics, but it's like, what makes you choose pro wrestling?
Well, growing up in Nebraska, we weren't immersed in the pro wrestling world a lot, but our brothers were amateur wrestlers, state champions in Nebraska. So we grew up around amateur wrestling. We finished college basketball. We did grad school, and Lori and I wanted to go explore. You know, we love the beach. We're like, we're going to move to Florida and see what happens. And, you know, Lori always wanted to fight too. And we were thinking about getting into MMA. And my dad was like, can you please pick something else? So our friend wrestled for one of AFA schools, AFA and Sika back in the day. And he's like, you guys would love pro wrestling. You should go, you know, watch a training session and see what you think. So we went and watched a training session and we're like, oh yeah, this is awesome. The office school happened to be about an hour and a half.
Well, when you took the first bump, it wasn't awesome.
Yeah, that part. The first, but he signed me up. He signed me up, and it was like, okay, we paid the money, and we're gonna do this. The first day, I was like, oh hell, what do we do? Because the Samoans, they you know, we drill bumping, cardio, and before we even got to start learning moves, and it was a year of just, you're going to learn how to bump and you're going to learn the basics. And but the Samoans, AFA was like, he's like family to us. He just passed away recently, actually, when we were in LA on a show day. So it was really tough that day. I remember Lori, she was in the makeup chair and they had to redo our makeup a couple times, but we did feel that taping. He was with us the whole time. So I definitely think he's out there looking out for us. But back to our journey.
Yeah, I'm glad we started with them because, you know, you never, you know, there's not a bump that I'm not scared to take. You know, you're like, oh, we learned the basics from day one for months. So you just, becomes second nature. Whereas if you go to a school and it's not as much, you know, bumping, learning, you know, the fundamentals, I think it's harder, you know, if you're scared when you take a bump, it's
your risk of injury is a lot more. And yeah, I wasn't sure if I was going to like wrestling, but I ended up falling in love with it. And I remember Pops telling us, if, you know, you love this, you're going to eat, breathe, and sleep wrestling if you want to be good at it. And he was right. So we've kind of been doing that the last 7 years. It's been quite a journey.
Now, Nigel, how do you get involved in the pro wrestling game?
Well, so basically I wanted to be in radio or television. And so I was an intern at the local radio station when I was 16. And there was a local show that came to town, a local wrestling show. And I gave them free plugs on the radio, which was a big thing back then. You know, we're talking 20 years ago now. And so they let me come and do an interview segment. And then after that, I got a phone call couple months later from a local promoter, and he said, you're a ring announcer, right? And I said, yeah, I'm a ring announcer. That's right. And so I started at 16. But same thing with the Miami Sweet Heat in the sense that I was lucky to have some mentors. And one of those mentors was the fabulous Moolah. And I bring that up because I work here at Women of Wrestling, and I am a big advocate for women's wrestling. And that's a big reason why. But she had the same advice. You got to live, eat, breathe, sleep the wrestling business. So, you know, so there's a common bond in that I think that we all share, in that we had a lot of old school mentorship early on in our careers. Yeah. But that's the how I got into it. I was a big fan growing up, and I just said, that's what I'm going to do. And I figured out a way to get into it.
Nice. You know, being that WOW is an upcoming promotion and many fans are just getting to know you guys,